What's going on, my people? What's going on? What's going on? Yes, LDA is here, ready to get rolling today. Today's number, I'm going to throw it, is 1221. 1221. What's going on? This is a most, I'm just happened to look and see this is a very important day. And I think it's a switch. It's the first time that things happen in the universe. So 1221, what's going on? 21 is the number. So what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Yes, I am here. I did some internal work today and it sort of took me under. Yeah, what's going on? What's going on, my good people? What's going on? But the number today is 1221. I happened to look at someone's post and I realized today is December 21st. Jupiter and Saturn will align in Aquarius for the first time in 400 years. Wow, in 400 years. Great conjunction in both astronomy and alignments, two planets and other celestial objects, so they're appeared to be the same. Okay, whatever. Many astronauts believe that there's a rare cosmic event ushers in the age of Aquarius. Shift our focus towards unconventional thinking and Mediterranean for years to come. So we're in a big shift right now. What's going on, Trav? So the number today, I didn't realize today, and have been up on my astrology game, but today is, you like the red shirt? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. What's going on, Trav? So what's going on? So yeah, it's 1221, which is quite interesting. So we're in a, I think why I was doing some thing. So it says, one person says the human species itself will move out of the earth consciousness to our art and garden of eating. So it's a global shift that's going to take place right now. I'm not going to go any further into it, but it's pretty interesting where we at. So 1221 is the thing. So let's get Trap, you want to come up, you definitely can, man. Clipboard this right quick. So man, I couldn't figure out why I was so tired, and I realized, what's going on, everybody? 1221 is a very, 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 very powerful thing. So salute everyone. Salute. What's going on, everybody? Salute. I need to probably know what I need to have. Watch this. Boom. This is getting me off right quick. So we're in a very, very good time right now. Always got to switch it up. Make sure you're looking right, proper. And I realize those glasses don't fit to what I'm wearing. So boom, that fits better. It's a spiritual shift right now. So I don't know who needs to hear it, but 1221 is very significant, significant right now. So yeah, we're in a very, very, very global shift right now. So it's interesting that I even chose this topic. Don't let them control the image of the man. Take it back. But we're so as the old will pass away, and behold, and there becomes something new. So at this time, we're in a very global, yes, this a spiritual shift about to take place. And it's very important that you pay attention what's going on around you and who you're talking to, because what's going on? Yeah, we're in a global, what's going on, King? We're in a major global, it's a global shift that's taking place. It's been going on, but now it's really prevalent right now. So I want to definitely, so let's get into what we're talking about. Since we're in a global shift, 1221 is the number for today. I want to make sure everybody understand that today's number, today's the 12th, today is the 21st. So there's a global shift that's going, there's a shift that's been going on, but now it's really a spiritual shift that's going to take place. So let's talk about don't let them control the image of a man. So one of the biggest things, since we're in a global shift, spiritual shift that's taking place, I talked about it before about value demand, but I want to talk about it again, the importance of image. Anybody who controls the image, who controls your image, controls your destiny. Anyone who controls the image in front of you controls your destiny. Oh, look at this, man. We can't make this up. We can't make this up. Yeah. And you can't make this up. I don't know. The red is today is red day.
What's up? What's up? I'm over
Right.
here talking about, just on my little purpose. I met up with Afi and all that. So you see, I'm in a nice little spot in LA.
Okay.
My
Okay.
spot right now. You see, okay. Just over here chilling. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, so the topic today, 1221, is actually we're in a spiritual shift, and I didn't realize it. And it only comes every 400 years, and we're at that 400 years right now. So it's out with the old and in with the new. And so that's been going on all this year, actually. But now it's not. Now it's catching up to the spiritual. Now the thing I want to talk about, I didn't even think about when I did the subject, is that don't let them control the image of the man. Take it back. So one of the things that we all know is whoever controls the image in front of the people, what controls the people. And so one of the narratives that's been pushed is that men, the image of men has been squandered under the boots of society and women at most. So I know you had something to say about that.
No, for sure. And I think there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? Because if you look at any nation that's been empowered and been protected, it's been protected by men. It's been protected by masculinity. I'm not saying that, women don't have their contributions as well, because they do. But the man is the leader of the household. If you want to go back to even, times of slavery, as far as with black folk, how did they destroy the black family? They destroyed the black man first. They used horse breeding tactics, which you can look online. It's the Willie Lynch doctrine that he gave at the James River 300 years ago. He said, if you follow these principles, 300 years from now, it's still going to work. And it's still working right now. You take the strongest men, you kill them, you beat the shit out of them in front of the women and the family, and you reverse the role to where the woman becomes the head of the household, and you take the man out. And that's going to cause dysfunction. That has been the tactic all the time. So that's why these things are done, because if you have a nation of empowered men, they're not going to be listening to the powers to be. They're going to be making their own decisions. And that's where control happens. And it's just like welfare. When you took the black male out of the house so that the woman can get the free money and all that, that created a lot of problems in the black community.
It's interesting. I was listening to Judge Joe Brown today. He's one of my favorite comments. I love listening to him. He is hilarious, and he doesn't have, his filter is like, he has no filter. It's like completely ripped off. And so he was saying when he was when he was talking today, he was saying that say that again.
He has no care. Yeah.
So what he was saying today. So what he was saying today was women were punished, or if the man came back in the 60s and whatever, the 50s and 60s, and he had a child with a woman, and if he came back to look at the woman, guess what happened? The powers that be took money away from her so that she couldn't get money. So now what did that do? That breeded a culture of women and says, we don't want men around because the potentiality of us not getting what money from where? From the government. So this is now inbred in 2 to 3 generations now. So there's a disdain for anything that's masculine or anything that's a man. So that's where we are at right now. People are willing to give up power, and they're smart tactics they use on people. Yeah, let's see what King said. And as we become more controlled by seeking a pleasure, the emasculation seems apparent to the younger men as generation powers become the narrative. That's very true. What's going on, player for life, man? You was clowning yesterday, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, he's clowning yesterday. Y'all was gag at me. I was about to say, what in the world? That's all I'm gonna say. Be careful, young men. Don't say you're a man who for pleasure. Correct. So the shift, I think Tish might have it right here. Breaking of the Kundalini, awakening of soul and purpose alignment for many. That is 1221. Very true. So it's imperative that we even talking about this, about men shifting the image that has been propagated through our community. Even in this space, it's been propagated. We have no reason I put this on. It's because I want to show, for lack of terms, I want to show black male excellence. And I said, I need to step it up. I know I got, suits and everything, but I need to step it up in what I talk about and how I present myself. Because if you don't have an image of something in front of you, you have no standard to gravitate to.
Yeah, that's definitely a fact.
Uh-oh, we got a time delay with you, Trav. The awakening brings a huge shift of awareness and consciousness, leading us to a higher potential. So the image of men, and especially black men, must shift now. You must take control, and you must say, this is how we look. This is how we carry ourselves. This is how we present ourselves. Travis in IT, he's in the tech world. He represents a whole sector of men that you don't even see. So the image of what you see of him is not, even though he has a hoodie on, but he represents a whole sector of men that you need to see that is possible, that you can do. So he's controlling the image of how he is seen. If you watch how Trav articulates himself, guess what happens? You'll realize that Trav ain't just yo man, yo. No, he know how to pronounce his words. He knew how to represent himself, and he knows how to get what he wants. He's representing an image for who? Younger guys. I'm representing an image for older guys. It's so imperative that you see an image of men being men. I can talk game all day. We can talk about getting women all day. But if you don't have an image of excellence, guess what's going to happen? The standard's going to go lower. And guess what the women are going to gravitate to? To the lower standard.
Yeah, that's a fact. Give me I guess, I don't know how long the delay is, but I guess let's take like a 5-second pause. I'll take a 5-second pause in between when I talk, and then we can adjust for it. But no, I dress young and I dress, so I have a good outer appearance because I present myself with youthfulness and being in touch, right? But then when people hear me talk, then it's a good contrast because it's like, okay, you got the good swag look, but then when you hear me speak, this is a very smart guy. I can tell by the way he articulates, the word usage he uses. And I get that a lot from people like, oh, you're a very smart guy. So it's like, I have good packaging, but the inside is more of my value than the outside. I get told like, oh, you're you got the pretty boy look, but you're not a pretty boy. You're actually a very smart guy. It's like, yeah, I do that on purpose because the reason why I'm doing that is because, let's just be real, with the things that I do a lot of high educational, high cognitive jobs that a lot of times you see the representation of that are not the prettiest, sexiest looking guys, or guys look like they're having fun with their life. You know what I mean? So if I want to attract more black men into this consciousness, I have to look the part. So I can't look grumpy. I can't look like I ain't having no fun with my life. But then once they see, okay, this guy can dress, look at his shoes, look at all that. He got the nice Kobe's on. But then they hear me talk and they're like, oh, this guy sounds like a teacher or like a professor or something like that. That's the whole point. And to be honest with you, with black men back in the day when we were the Moors, that's what we were doing. We were striving to be Renaissance men on a daily basis with Timbuktu and Kemet and everything we were doing. That's high value. And those same guys that were doing science, mathematics, were also doing martial arts, and they were also troubadours and seducers of women. They were complete men.
And that's where we are missing that, because we only focus on the importance or we got to get women. Let's talk about how to get women. But no one has told you how to walk in your pure essence of being excellent. I can't get it out now. How to be excellent. And so a lot of times what happens now, this is your opportunity, especially on 1221, for you to grab back the image of the man. It's not so much what's going on, Tab. It's not so much your outward adornment, but your inward first, because we talk about inward first, but then you go out and you need to represent what it is to be a man. What happens is, if you don't take back the reins, what's going to happen down the road? There are forces that be who want to muddy the water of what masculinity is and what a man is, because they already put this term that came out, toxic masculinity, to try to muddy the water even more. But if we can change the image of what men are, what do you think the what do you think the women are going to reflect from that point?
That's a fact. That is a definite fact. And I think as men, King was saying it in the chat, and he's exactly right. We emasculate ourselves in the pursuit of our physical pleasures. And that is a big problem. Like, men have to be willing to, even just people, but I can speak for men because I'm not a woman, but as a man, you have to be willing to lose things because of your principle. Because principle comes first. You can get all the things you want, you can get all the money you want, but am I going to deny am I going to go against my principles for that? That's the real test. Because if I want to go against my principles and cheat my way to the top and all that, I could be doing that. I was in Hollywood. I was in these corporate companies where I could have compromised my integrity and went further. Is that what I want to do, though? No, that's not what I want to do. And if more men are willing to do that, that's how things change. Just like with for example, with MMA, like, it's a huge growing sport. But there's a monopoly with the UFC. They're not paying the fighters enough. But the fighters won't stand on their principle and walk away and say, we're not fighting until things change. So if they're not going to do that and unionize, they're not going to make the money that they should be making. But because they're so desperate and want glory and quick gratification, instead of being able to say, hey, you know what? We will put away our desire for glory and greatness. We'll go do other jobs. We'll walk away because the companies can't work without us. They won't have leverage, and they're going to be doing what they do for the rest of their life. They're not going to reap the real benefits.
And that's true. So when you're driven by your lower nature or by your pleasure, you normally sacrifice your purpose. And that's just what it is. And I think a lot of guys have been coming onto this platform, looking for pleasure, while they sacrifice, they take their purpose and they put it on the altar and kill it. And so what happens is you have not come, the word I love using is, you have not become a Renaissance man. See, that includes women. That includes women, but it also includes you being a well-rounded man who's cultured. Let me say that again, who's cultured in many things, not just one thing, but many things. And I think that's what's missing. So that's why we need to take the image back of what men look like. When we were in Vegas, when we walked down the strip, there were a group of men, not hyenas, but lions. There was a complete energy about us that knew, like, hey, don't mess with us. Second of all, we know how to have fun. So we have to control the image of how we present ourselves. Now, one of the things I told my sons when they were young, when you shake somebody's hands, you look them straight in the eye. Don't you dare look down, because that's who you represent, me, but you represent yourself. You look that person straight in the eye. You tell them, hi, my name is so-and-so and so-and-so, because your image has to speak. You have to take back control of your image, and you got to and this is the thing too. Some people are not going to be happy that you're taking back the image of what a man is, because they want to keep the other image to keep you down. Talk on that. I know you got some on that.
No, that's a definite fact. I mean, and anytime there's a revolution, you're going to have pushback. So if you want change, you have to be willing to deal with the pushback for the higher cause. Yeah, being a high value man in this day and age, a lot of women don't like that. And the reason why is because we've been told and conditioned with these lies to where people want control. So a high value man, a man of principle, is not easily controlled. He's not controlled, period, but he's not easily swayed. So most people do things out of a place of self-interest. So a lot of times guys will think, oh, I got game and all that. No, you happen to be with a woman where her self-interest aligns with your interests. But when her interest changes, she's not going to be as cooperative as you. But if you have game, you are able to find women that align with your self-interests, and you don't compromise yourself. And that's what you want to do, because people can change at any time. You can never stop people from changing, but you can change yourself and control yourself. So you want to create a filter in your life that brings in people that are going to be on your purpose. And when they're off of your purpose, they get off and you move on. That's how you have to control the dynamic. And that's what makes you a man. And you got to be willing to go through that ugly stage. Like, it's like this. When people get dreads, right? When they start growing it out, they go through that little ugly phase where it's like short and little, like it's not hanging. It's like looking weird. And it don't really look that good maybe for what, like 3 months or something like that. But you have to be willing to go through that ugly phase to let it grow. And then once they start coming out, now it starts looking full, the crop is verbose, and now you swinging. But if you're not willing to go through that ugly phase, you aren't going to get those dreads that you want. So it's the same type of metaphor with everything in life. You got to go through the process.
Trade my, King says, trade my ways right now. Get great reversal in the market. I like to contribute what I know about trading when I gather more experience. LDA, cool, no problem, no problem. Because we need to be more. We need to be diversified in what we know. See that, but the problem is, all we want to know is about how to zoom in the boom boom. That's all we know. That's all we know. Dude, it's so much more than life than just that. But it's hard to tell somebody if you ain't had a lot of wins in that area. So I understand where you at. If that's all you want to get, that's all you want to get. But I'm telling you, to be a man who controls the image of who he is, guess what happens? You would not. I have a big thing about people taking pictures of me. I mean, a big thing. You cannot just take a picture of me. We're in a group. I want to see how it looks. I want to see how I'm presented, because I don't know where that picture is going to go. And I've been in a couple commercials. I did some things, and I stopped people one time. Don't take a picture of me. Why? Because I have to control the image that's presented out there. Even on my social media, I control the image. You think I just post just anything? Everything is strategic and is planned. You know why it's strategically planned? Because I have to control the image that I present to the world. What happens is a lot of guys are just going lackadaisical about what goes on, and they don't think their image is important, but it is.
Man, nah, that's true, because it's all about substance, right? But in reality, perception is reality. So if you understand that fact, you have to understand how you are perceived. And you need to be in alignment with the perception you want. Everything that you do needs to be purposeful. From the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, everything is of purpose. Now, am I 100% all the time? No, I'm not. But I take accountability for when I'm not. And that's the key too. We're not perfect. We're not robots. We all have natural human instinct, natural human pleasure. Sometimes you have to, as we say, cat off a little bit to get reignited to be back on your purpose. We're just human. We're not robots. But it's simple decisions that are going to accept your perception. I want to be perceived as someone vibrant and healthy. So I have to do vibrant and healthy things. I could have got a fat ass soda and be drinking soda right now. I'm drinking water because I want to be healthy, because I like that. I was in the Uber with the OG the other day, and he was like, "You're 34. I thought you were like 28." So you know what I mean? That's a great perception right there. And I want to keep that up. Like, everything you do has to be with some type of purpose. You have to have an end goal in mind, and you need to reverse engineer the steps you need to make to get that end goal, whether it's going on a vacation, getting a job, getting a woman, whatever. Because a man without a plan is just planning to fail. Either if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
And that's what we have a lot of men who have not planned their life strategically. We're in 1221 right now. We're actually going into another year. This is your opportunity to take back the image that how people perceive you, but mainly how you perceive yourself. Like I said that before you came in, I did some spiritual work, man. It knocked me out because I was detoxing. I was detoxing from some things that people, situations, problems. A lot of people don't even know. People don't even understand. When you do that kind of spiritual energy work, it can become draining because you're letting go of things that you need to let go. So I had to do that before I did this show, and I couldn't figure out why I was so drained. But back to what we were talking about, that your image is important right now. So first, I want you guys in the chat room to please tell me what one thing you can do to work on your image. What one thing you can do to work on or to change your image as a man? Because I got to get you guys participating in there. I've been trying to get on Clubhouse for the longest, man.
while they're doing that, I'll talk about something that I kind of want to change with my image. Mm-hmm. I want to work on my anger. That's something I want to work on. Now, that doesn't mean I don't need to be firm. Yes, you need to be a firm man. You need to be a shrewd man. I believe in that. But I could work on my anger. You know, I've went through different experiences with friendships, stabbing me in the back, an ex that did me dirty and all that. And a lot of people do a lot of messed up stuff. But I can work on controlling how I react to that. Do I always overly pop off? No, I'm actually pretty good for the most part. But there are times where I let my anger get the best of me. And it's more not outward, it's more inward. I take it out on myself. So I'm finding different things that I got to work on with that. Because a man needs to control his emotions. We're not going to be 100%, but I got to work on being smarter than the situation and going and looking at it for not what they're doing to me and taking it personal, but it's happening because of X, Y, and Z, and seeing it from an outside perspective to understand and not take it personal.
Yeah, many times when we get angry, somebody used to teach, I teach myself, but I also taught my sons, anyone who can make you angry actually can control you. Mm-hmm. And then also anger is really rooted in fear. Somewhere there's something that you fear of losing control from. So I think a lot of times when we get angry, it is a reaction and not the real cause of why you're getting angry. Mm-hmm. And so I think what happens is when you look at the root of it is what? The root of it is what are you fearing on losing control or that you don't have the ability to control? So that's a lot of it too. So I think Joe put this, I want to learn to let go of people that show they no longer want to be around. I got a problem with trying to hold them. Dude, man, you all in my spiritual work. That's what I did today. Let me explain since we're talking about it, because this is all about controlling your image. So in order to let people go, you have to learn how to surrender or be unattached to people or to situations or whatever. So how you do that is you have to go. I did it just this morning, so this ain't nothing I've just, you just making this up. No, what you do is what happened is you have a hard time letting go is because you could have a situation where you have, what do they call that when a parent leaves a parent? Leaves a baby. I can't think of it right now, but you may have that abandonment issues, right? And so you need to look at where do I have abandonment issues inside of me that I don't want to let people go. And you might have been abandoned when you were younger, or somebody might have abandoned you, and it scarred you right there. And so you don't know how to let other people go. So what you got to do is you got to learn how to surrender people. You need to let situations, problem go, because you carry that. And when you carry that, then you begin to hold on to people past the season in your life and in their life. So you got to learn to deal with your abandonment issues. Men do have those. Don't think it's not, just women have that. No, you have abandonment issues. But this is the deeper thing, because we're talking about image. And as a man, your image may be the fact that you feel that you cannot get someone else to be someone else in your life. So it's a scarcity situation going on.
No, that's definitely a fact. I mean, I've had even those issues sometimes with myself. I mean, because I'm a very loyal person, you know? So for me, I don't really like deeply connect with a lot of people, but when I do, it's like I'm loyal to them, you know? So when people aren't as loyal back at times, that could be very frustrating. And I had to learn that you have to do that without the expectation of it coming back. You have to do it because that's just who you are. You're just putting it out in there. And honestly, when you give, you need to give more just for yourself, not because you want to do it for something in return. You do it just because it puts good karma out there. Now, you do need to vet who you give to, and you're not going to go 100%. But if it doesn't work, you have to look at yourself and go, you know what? Now I see the feedback. I just have to take it as I got to stop giving that in that area anymore. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Very true. So many times, people are too attached to other people or situations, problems, or whatever the case may be. You got to learn how to let go. You have to wear people like a coat. You got to be able to know what season to wear the different coat in. You don't wear a raincoat in the middle of summer. You wear a raincoat when it rains. You wear a winter coat. You don't wear a winter coat in the middle of the summer again because you'll be too hot. So you got to know when you need to take on and what you need to put on. And when you're too attached to people, guess what happened? We will put something you said. One of my mentors, bless his soul, his last sermon he preached was diminish expectations. We have expectations that are far exceeding what the people can even give. Sometimes we have expectations for others that they shouldn't even be on them, and we are making them higher than what they need to be at. I'm gonna look where Tish were, and men should not be ashamed if they're abandonment issues, because I believe it or not, you have females that are understanding and cooperative. Yeah, a lot of men don't want to talk about this. I know it's a sensitive issue for some men. They don't want to talk about their abandonment issues. Someone, your mother, your father, mainly we talk about the father abandoned. And he could have abandoned because of situations. He could have abandoned with death. It could have been any way. But guess what? You need to face that situation head on. Are we still talking about image? But you need to face that image head on about what took place. What happens, what men do, we tuck it down inside of us and we never deal with it until it becomes too much. And then we break it down in the corner. So we're crying. We have to deal with it. I had to deal with it when my father passed, because that was we were like two peas in a pot. He was my best friend. But I had to deal with it because it felt like abandonment. Because why? He's no longer here. But until you put light on it, guess what's going to do? It's going to always stay in the dark crevices of your soul.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a fact. I mean, one thing I've said this again before, I'll say it again. I'll probably say it to the day I die. All pros have coaches. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. All pros have coaches. We all have things that we need to vet. Now, here's one thing that I'm going to say, and I think people sleep on this. At the right moments, at the right time, with the right people, it is okay for a man to show vulnerability. There is strength in that. I'll hear people say, I've never seen my father cry. I saw my dad cry before, but it was for the right reasons. He was crying because he thought about his mom who passed away. Mm-hmm. He was crying because he was nervous about something with his sons. Mm-hmm. Now, that didn't mean he didn't take bold action. That makes him even stronger because he felt that fear. He felt that vulnerability. He felt that pain that most people, when they feel that, run away. But he still dealt with it courageously like a man, even though he felt that. But he needed to process at a time. And I never questioned if I saw my dad cry what it was for, because he didn't cry like that. So I knew if he was crying, it was like, okay, something is serious, you know? And that's the thing about being a man. It's like, we're not robots. It's just, even though we feel as a real man, not a male, a man, even though we feel the same thing as maybe a coward does, we don't coward up.
Yeah, so it's so important what you said. That's good. You have to face the dark places inside of you, because there's parts of your image as you, as a man, that you need to face. I mean, read with Joe. My father wasn't around, and my mother never badmouthed him, but she was overprotective. So it was a double whammy. He wasn't there. She didn't badmouth him, but she was trying to overprotect you, and that overprotection can stop you from what? Moving forward.
Yeah. So let me talk about that, because I have personal issues with that. You know, when my father passed when I was 13. So when that happened, my mom got overprotective. Now, and then with that overprotectiveness, she at times babied me, and that made me soft when I was a teenager at times. But I got to a point where I took accountability and realized, hey, I'm a little too soft, but I knew where that came from. Even with, if I go back to the Willie Lynch syndrome, that was the whole reason why they did what they did to the men with the horse breeding tactics, because they knew that if they made the woman the head of the household, she was going to be overprotecting of her sons and not allow them through good intentions, but through a man not being there to intervene. She wasn't going to allow that son to become a man. She was always going to keep him down a little bit out of protection, because if she saw what happened to the strong alpha male, she doesn't want her son to be an alpha male now, because he could be hurt.
That's good right there, man. That's funny, because the dynamics with my two sons and their mother is she's going to protect them, but she knows that there's certain things that I bring to the table she cannot get my sons to do. They're like stubborn. They can be like stubborn mules sometimes. They won't dig. I'm not. Well, I'm going to call your dad. All of a sudden, when they get me on the phone, guess what happened? The story changes. They get to acting right. They begin to think, oh, I didn't think about that. So there has to be the dynamic of the mother and the father. That is important to be there. And if we don't have that, we will have men. We have a lot of men who have been overprotected by their mothers. So they're not ready. They're not fit for the world, but they're not fit for what? For a wife or a girlfriend. That's the real issue.
Yeah, not at all. Here's the thing with toxic masculinity. This is what toxic masculinity is usually code word for. Toxic masculinity is not having control. So when a woman says he's a toxic masculinity guy, no, it means I can't control him most of the times. I can't get what I want. Mm-hmm. Now, toxic masculinity to me is if you're just trying to be too macho, or you're trying to be too domineering, and you're just not logical and rational about it, with no empathy, no type of finesse, no type of tact. You're just trying to be Rambo 24/7 and meet a meathead. That's toxic masculinity, because that's not really masculinity. That's really doctored up femininity or insecureness that appears masculine from the outside. Because it's like when they say that saying, real G's don't flex their nuts. A real man doesn't have to flex like that, because he knows who he is. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of toxic femininity that's going on right now. And I don't think people want to talk about that, which I'll talk about, but we could talk about it another time. Mm-hmm. But being a masculine man, it has to be like King just said right now, he's right. Your masculinity has to have principle behind it. So if there's no principle behind it, it's not really masculine.
And that's the problem. Now something you said about that, about the women, I think I may want to do a show on female incels.
That'd be a good one.
I got to do a little bit more research, but there's a lot of women who have now, I know we sort of jumped a little bit, and I'm going to agree with because he said something that's pretty funny. A chick just texted me, what do you give me for Christmas? And I text back, good advice. Okay, Tim, I need to work on staying positive and looking forward to regardless of what is going on in my life. I understand life goes on with or without me. Having the strength to understand mistakes will be made. Yes, you got to understand that none of us came here. We imperfectly imperfect. We are perfectly imperfect. That's what we got to understand. Yes, you're right. It is about principles, but I definitely want to do a show on female, those incels that are out there. Yeah, me, yeah. So a lot of times, think of how that there are women out there who are incels. They talk about the male incels, but we never talk about the females who just giving up on men. They got their toy, they got their dog, and they are just happy like that. You are a female incel. But anyway, back onto what we were talking about. The numbers went up. The numbers went up as soon as I talked about that. Female incels. But back to the image. So you realize it's important as men, regardless what race you are, that your image and how you carry yourself is vitally important in these upcoming years, regardless who gets elected. Because what happens now, from this point on, you have somebody else watching and emulating what you do. So if you have somebody I watch other people and I take nuggets away, or I take nuggets, I push nuggets away. I take nuggets away from them to learn how to even make me a better man. But I want you to realize this is a call for responsibility. When I says don't let them control your image, don't let them control the image of a man, then I said take it back. It's a call for what? Responsibility. You are responsible for your image. And if you don't want to take responsibility for your image, you're going to allow everyone to define what a man is. And one of the biggest things they do is, you ever hear the saying on the memes, a real man would do this, a real man would do that. That's a slick way of trying to define what a man is. No. This is what a man is. This is the standard that it is. This is how I'm going for, and this is what I'm not going for. That is controlling the image, but it's a call for responsibility. That way.
No, that's a fact. I want to go back to what Tim was saying about working on staying positive regardless. Yeah, a big thing about men is having faith. That doesn't mean necessarily a religious faith, but it's just a faith in outcome, a faith that through it all, the light is going to be at the end of the tunnel. Like if you look at professional fighters like Mike Tyson or all them, if you listen to their interviews, they talk about a lot of times walking up to the fight and about to fight, they're terrified. These are the baddest men on the planet per se, or they are, but they're terrified. But they have faith. They're like, hey, I'm scared, but I got faith that I'm gonna make it through the storm. Mm-hmm. And also they understand that they're not gonna go 100%. I mean, that winners lose, losers quit quote is so true. You're never gonna go 100%, and that's the thing. That was something that I dealt with. Like Afi had told me before, like, man, you be trying to go through life with just flawless victories. That's not how it works. So when you understand that, that's where a lot of the times you will get the confidence, because guess what? You're gonna make mistakes, but the mistakes is usually just feedback. It's not a loss. It's just feedback on what you need to improve on and to go ahead and make that improvement and come back. The problem is that society, our school system says you make one mistake and you're done. Mm-hmm. That's not how life works.
You're right. That's definitely not how life, because if you know how many mistakes, only reason I can be on this platform and talk like this, I made so many mistakes. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Think about it. I was married twice. He made some mistakes.
And you're going to make more.
But see, that is the hallmark of a true man, is when he can embrace his mistakes. If you cannot embrace your mistakes, what's going to happen is you're going to try to avoid them, and it's going to weaken you as a man. It's going to weaken you because you are trying to avoid the mistakes. When you embrace, you know what? I don't know this. Let me try to do this. It's the same thing. Let me break it down because you want to get some game. You're not going to become proficient at talking to women if you're just in your head and you don't want to make any mistakes with women. Do you know how many women say, no, sorry, no, you ain't right. You too tall, you too short, you ain't right, blah, 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 blah. I couldn't take that personal. I had to realize what? It was part of the process. You will make mistakes, but in the mistakes, that's when you can make what? The second thing, which is adjustments. You can make adjustments. Mistakes lead to adjustments. When you make adjustments, guess what happens next? Then when you go back again, you can see whether you can asset test and see an A and B. Then you can see whether your adjustments worked or not. It's the same thing in football. You think they didn't make that play? They went back. Okay, we're going to look back at that play. Let's make an adjustment. Let's put the receiver on this side this time. When they put the receiver on this time, go down the middle. Boom, it works. It's called making adjustments. You have to be the master and making adjustments, and especially making adjustments to how you look and your image.
Man.
And
no, go ahead if you want to keep going. I said, man.
So it's important that you realize that even when we are talking about the man taking back their image, you got to realize it's about you will make mistakes, but you need to make adjustments. And then in your adjustments, you can now say, walk into victory. I had to make adjustments just doing this channel, change the image on it because it looked like a little kid made it at first. Then I had to make adjustments with audio, adjustment with the light, and I'm going to make another adjustment with the camera. It's all about making adjustments to get to your desired end. And what happens is, once again, we have a culture of men who don't want to put in the work. They just want somebody to give them their what? Give them their what? Schoolwork, and that's it. Just give me the goods, and that's it. You don't want to put in any work. In this space right here that I have, it's called the gospel of responsibility. You need to be responsible for what takes place in your life. What's going on, Alpha Kingdom? What's going on? So you got to be responsible.
Morning, brother.
If you're not responsible, what's going to happen is you're going to blame the woman, you're going to blame the kids, you're going to blame the government, you're going to blame everybody else why your image as a man is where it is, but you don't want to take responsibility. Alpha, can you got something? Hey, LDA and Trav, there's a lot of people who hold on to mistakes that you made and will stick it in your face. Reason I said that is a lot of people and more Texans will do that. Right. So this is what happened. People will remember your mess, but you got to remind them of your what?
Your wins.
Your wins. I'm in Cleveland with the Cleveland Browns. This is the best year ever we've been playing. Do you hear me? We can always talk about the cardiac kid. We can talk about the other people, but guess what? People will remember your wins when you have them, and that's what you need to say. You know what? You might have remembered my mistakes, but now look at my wins. You got to use that as motivation. If you don't use it as motivation, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start believing and repeat your mistakes again. Trav, I know you got it.
Yeah, well, let me touch on that because this is why they do that. The reason why people hold on to your mistakes is because they are not happy with themselves and they want to use your mistakes to hold on to them not progressing and you probably progressing past your mistakes, which were lessons. Like when I see people from back in high school, they remember me from my fat days, my timid days. So even though I've done all this change and I'm a whole different person, they still want to look at me like, but when you were 15, well, I'm 34 now, goddammit. You know what I'm saying? That's been 20 years of me putting in work and changing. You didn't put in the work and you peaked in high school. So now you want to hold me to my lowest form when I was learning about myself. And that's the time to make mistakes to grow. But you want to hold that mistake, which is not even that big a mistake on me for 20-something years? Why don't we look in your closets and see what you've done? You know what I mean? So that's all that is. So that's just loser talk. gossip, holding people to your mistakes and stuff like that, unless it's something like real major and foul, where it's like a real bad integrity move or something like that, there are certain mistakes you can't come back from. I do get that. But a lot of times the mistakes that people hold you to, it's because they're not happy with themselves and they want to bring you down to keep them at their level because misery loves company. That's all that is.
Alpha, you got something?
Hey, one thing I want to say, can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like it's like people have blue blockers on. So when I say blue blockers, I'm talking about a classic 1980s commercial. So it's like they still see you in those lenses of what you were, and they don't know how to adjust to the new you. Another thing I learned, especially from doing content in YouTube, people are hella negative. I promise. Like all this, people be talking all this praise the Lord and all this blessings and all this. Man, they be negative as hell, man. Like how people just like down or just come in like just with a negative vibe. Like, you know, like I kind of spoke on that when I did the thing with Danica. Like some dude was in there caping like, hey, some dudes in there caping like, you too young to be talking to my queen. Like, bro, what the hell wrong with you? This woman is married to somebody else. It just shows you where people's mindsets are. Like, you caping for her. She's literally married, not secretly married, but like she's proudly married. But you want to talk to me. Don't talk to my queen. It's not your queen, bro. She's married to another guy. Like, it just shows you where people's minds are at. And I made a mistake. It took me a long time to realize everybody don't think like you and everybody don't think the way that you do. And once you kind of get out of that, it's like your life is easier. See, a lot of times we waste a lot of time basically wanting people to think or understand the way that we think or the shit that we do. And when you around the right people, you don't have to convince. You just tell it's difference. If I got an idea or about anything, I could just tell Trav or tell Lawrence, and we can talk about it. I don't have to like convince them because we have this kind of friends. I'm trying to convert old people onto new things. Just introduce new people to the new you, and I just keep it right there.
That's right on the money because we're in 1221, which is a shift in the spiritual realm from the in with the out with the old and in with the new. So that's pretty much right on the money to what we're talking about today. So the thing of the day, we want to make sure we emphasize this: don't allow them to control the image of a man. You take it back. So I want you to emphasize this: no matter what's going on in your life, this is your day of responsibility. I want you to be responsible for your image and how you present to the world. You need to think about this. Somebody is watching you and ready to what? Emulate who you are. And if you do not take the reins of your image, the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you take care of yourself, the way you articulate, what happens is you are now part of the problem and not part of the solution because you're not raising the standard in you. And you're not standing the standard around those around you. That's the reason why I just put on a suit jacket today. So I want to raise the image of what Black men are. What we talk about. We can talk about sex like crazy on here. I can put it right now and tell you something that will blow your mind. But guess what will happen? It will only keep you at this level, and I want to raise you to another level so that it's just easy work. It's just easy work. When you begin to raise your consciousness and your mind and your image of who you are, you begin to get a better quality of woman, actually, when you raise your standards.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I'll say to that, you need to be conscious of your image, but also understand not everyone's going to perceive you the way you want to be perceived. As long as you know what your substance is, and when you interact with people, how you really are, you can't control your reputation with everybody, and that's none of your business too. Because if you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. Like case in point, I've had certain women tell me recently, if I'm kicking it with them, when I say certain things, oh, you sound conceited. And I'm like, is it conceited or is it confidence? Now, whether I sway them or not, I don't care. I'm going to be who I am, whether they like it or not. And a lot of times haters are just your fans in denial. So sometimes when you do certain things and you stand out in the crowd, people don't like that. People want to be bold, but at the same time, people don't like bold people because it makes them insecure. I'm called rude sometimes because I just say how I feel about certain things. Am I really? And then I'll question these people and be like, I don't have to, but I'll do it because I know I'll change their mind. I'm like, am I being rude? What was so rude about that? They'll be like, well, you weren't really rude. It's just, you're just so confident and so straightforward. So how's that rude? But see, society doesn't want you to be that. But those who make an impact in this world are bold. They're dynamic. Dynamic people are usually not lukewarm with people. People have an opinion. Either they like you or they don't. But even the people that don't like you, they like you. They're just jealous a lot of times. So they don't want to fully like you because they don't like that shit. That's all it is, bro.
He being playing for life, being funny. But this is.
Who is he?
I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, you got to unmute yourself, Alfie, because I had muted you because Lincoln he wanted to get on. He wanted to get on. This is so. This is Roscoe Star. This is so important. One of the things that is seeping through the message from the esteemed gentleman of the Manosphere is to raise your standards. If I can say anything on here before we go through, is that men, we have to raise our standards. We have to raise
power. I see you, bro.
Moto power. A lot of people don't like confident and intelligent black.
You are a threat. Well, we've talked about this, especially if you're as a black man in corporate America. I can speak on this. I'm a manager. I do coding. I've been through all that. Typically, this is how society sees us as black people. A woman that's on her shit is a mental threat. A black man is typically a physical threat. But when you are a well put together black man that is physically strong and mentally strong, you are public enemy number one. Because if you go back to the creation of Earth, where it all came from Africa and all that, we are the prototype when we are at our best. And subliminally, everybody knows that on average, a top tier, intelligent, high value, physically in shape black man dominates. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm. That's right there. That is the threat. And I'm saying that because I worked in corporate. I worked for Sherwin-Williams and as an accountant, and I work at a particular hospital now. One of the biggest threats is the intelligence and the mind. Thank you, of a heterosexual black man, intelligent black man. I mean, emphasize that.
Because you'll spread your seed.
You are a threat. There's nothing. If you into that, I'm not shaming anybody. That's your thing. More power to you. But the threat is a heterosexual, intelligent, black, confident black man. I see it in the way when I go to different meetings. When I begin to speak up, I don't say much. But when I say something, when I'm in a group of predominantly women, when I say this needs to be done, this needs to be done. Or why we're looking at that, we need to be looking at that. I don't care what degree they have. I don't care what position they have in this organization. Why are we looking at that? What happens is it shakes women up a little bit because they haven't dealt with a man who's not trying to bed them, but who's ready to lead them. There's a difference. I'm not trying to bed them, but I'm trying to lead them. And a man who leads is going to say things that people are not going to like. Y'all want to turn up. Let me see red. I found that day one people, especially in the red pill don't like me that much. Right? They don't like you. I understand that because you speak your mind, you who you are. We had to learn corporate American. We have to leave corporate America and start our own businesses. I completely agree. And I completely agree with that. You got to have that autonomy to be the man. Y'all get me to one hour. So I'm want to sort of and get heterosexual. We just talked about that. There is a threat because you are what? heterosexual.
Because you'll spread your seed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you're heterosexual, it means you can make clones of you. So if you're homosexual, okay, and then they're a little more, we can control that, and he ain't gonna be attacking our women or doing nothing like that. He's a good old boy. Like, for example, Little Richard, perfect example, and this is on video.
Yeah, he's there. Go.
Little Richard is not flamboyant and gay like you think. He did that as a finesse. Why? Because back in the day, they called black men that were being entertainers and they would do their music race music. So when he would try to perform, the white men would get insecure because they're like, he's going to be getting our white women. So they wouldn't let him perform. But when he came and looked gay, they were like, oh, we'll let him perform because the women aren't going to like him because he's gay. So he's not competition. That's why Little Richard acts the way he does, because he's done interviews where he looks like a regular ass black man named Lester that's a mechanic from the hood with an afro. He didn't have the perm or the makeup on his face. He had to do that to even get his music out during the times he was out.
See, I don't understand. But this goes back to the subject we're talking about, which we're about to end in a few minutes. He realized that the image of a strong man was a threat to what? To the predominant society. So what he did, he adjusted his image to fit in, get his money, and still, I know Little Richard, I don't know him like that, but he got it. He got his in. So he finessed the game right in front of them. So you got to understand how important that image was. He couldn't come out there like, yeah, man, my name is Little Richard. I'm about to see my song Tutti Frutti. No, you ain't singing Tutti Frutti here. Well, he's singing a little, put a little soft tone to it, put some makeup, put some makeup on. Guess what happened? Sure, got right on in. Yeah, history lesson. Didn't know that, right?
It's on video. You can look it up. I'm not just saying this. There's an interview he did with David Letterman in the 80s where he talked about it.
That's I seen that interview. He did say that. But it goes back to what we're talking about, the image. He realized that if he wanted to get into where he needed to be, he had to control his image to get there. Once he got there, he can switch it up. Because
I'm gonna just say this real quick. Now, me personally, right? There's social media guidelines, and I had different jobs you had to follow, and I used to follow them. But now, since I tried playing the game and saw that it don't really work, and it's all a finesse for control, and I saw that things don't change without someone speaking out and sparking revolution, I'm very straightforward on my social media about things I go to. I air things out. Now, those things might limit me with certain opportunities. Those things might get me in trouble a little bit. Guess what? Good. Because on my principles, I will not be buck broken. I will not be limiting myself and my truth. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the institutional racism that I dealt with the NFL Network. I'm going to talk about how I had racist people dealing with me every day, dealing with someone who got drunk at the job and broke Bruce Arians' granddaughter's ankle or sprained her ankle when he got drunk. But if that was me doing that, I would have went to prison. I'm going to speak on all that now, because if I don't speak on that, I'm just going to be a little punk. And that's, to me, not being masculine. That's not being a man standing on his principle. On that, I will intelligently die on my shield. Because, yeah, that could change my perception, but I know what my real perception is. And I'm going to speak out on that stuff. Because if you don't speak out and you're not willing to die on your shield for stuff, you're going to live like a coward. And I can't do that. That means I'm dying every day.
And that brings me to this point, what we talked about many times on here. The attack is on your image, but the real attack is on this chakra right here, your voice. I want to mute your voice. If they can mute your voice as a man, I'm talking to you brothers, whatever color you are, but if they can mute your voice and not get you to speak, they stop the forward progression of masculinity to the next generation. Your voice is what they're after. Your voice is what they want to stop in corporate America, in society. They don't want you to speak. So what they do is, the other thing they do is they get women to slit your voice. Like Delilah, tell me your strength. My strength is in what I speak, because when I speak what? Life. So you get Delilah to cut your throat so that you don't speak, or cut your dreads. He had dreads. Cut his dreads where his strength was, so that he can speak and kill the Philistines, or kill the things that are stopping your principles of who you are. So I see one question, but I'm going to be at the hour and 6 minutes. My question, Trav, is how were you able to maintain the power around the white people? And then that's it. We're going to end.
It was tough, but number one, my father taught me you're going to have to work twice as hard. So embrace that fact, and I did. And then number two, I was just willing to go out on my shield. Like, I think because when I was younger, I used to be, bullied at a time and all that. So I remember being timid and how that didn't work. So now I'm like, hell nah. Like, I invite it, because my thing is I know that by me, through my own personal life, standing up to these things, I'm doing in my power, my part to make a change. And I'm willing to go out like the Haitians and die for what I got to do to make the cause. That's just me.
Hey, Alpha, you have anything else you want to say? Because we're about to end it.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm just agreeing. I'm in the see. That's why I'm muted right there. As I'm trying not to do a duet with me and Lincoln. Yeah, because I'm pulling up to the house now, but in the car I can't get him to be quiet. He gets too excited now. Yeah, man, just everybody just stay focused, man. Represent yourself, man, and don't let society kind of just provoke you to what a man is, because at the end of the day, you know what a man is. You know what I'm saying? You just letting the propaganda of everything else come on, bro. See, stop.
Lincoln telling you too. With the image of the dog.
Okay, yeah.
Panel.
Lincoln said, "Forget that. I'm letting it. Forget that. I'm telling you too. Don't let the dog stop you."
Lincoln said, yeah, what Dad said. Whatever he said, I'm saying. That's what he said.
Right. So, and then closing with that. Any last words, Trav? Because I got to end this because I got to be somewhere.
Man, just again, you can follow me on IG at Trav_Terrell, and thanks for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure.
Red today. Poo-doo. Got that red puff.
Nice.
So, and in saying that, peace. Catch you tomorrow, 12:30 sharp, and Lawrence D. Adams, and we are out of here. I'm past my time again. I gotta think I might do that thing on female incels. That might be a good drop. We always talking about male incels, but there are female incels. All right, peace, brothers. We out of here.